in the group photo. And now I have the pleasure of welcoming back Dr. Hester Marais to her second LIASA IGBIS event this year. In June, Hester gave a highly instructional and insightful talk on the Name Authority Cooperative Program, or NACO, and identity management. The recording is available on the LIASA News YouTube channel, and I'll post that link in the chat. After the success of her first presentation, the IGBIS Executive Committee was delighted to have Dr. Marais return to impart more of her expertise. Today, Dr. Marais will speak to the process of choosing and creating a name. A unique form of a personal name distinguishes between people sharing the same name and brings together the works of a person who has used different forms of a name. As catalogers and metadata practitioners, we have a responsibility to accurately determine, differentiate, and represent creators' personal names appropriately and respectfully. Dr. Marais has extensive experience and knowledge in bibliographic description and authority control. She conducts accredited NACO training sessions for South African catalogers across the country and has regularly presented papers at conferences and seminars, both regionally and internationally. We feel incredibly fortunate that Dr. Marais can share some of her knowledge with us this morning. With that, I welcome Dr. Hester Marais.
Good morning. Can everybody see my screen?
Good morning, Dr. Marais. We can see you, but not your presentation.
There we are.
Okay. Perfect.
What are you seeing? My photo. You are screen sharing.
I think you are fine now, Hester.
Can you see me?
Yeah, we see you, but in also your presentation.
Okay.
I think you're fine.
Ik kan full screen maak. Full, so. Nou, wat was hierin te maak?
Sarah, are you seeing the presentation mode?
I'm seeing presenter mode.
The presenter mode. Okay, so what is it? Let's share again. And now,
yeah. Thank you.
But we're not seeing the slides.
Oh, I took it away now. Sorry, Esther. Goodbye.
That's, yeah.
Looks good. Now we're seeing the presentation. And
you. Okay. Take two. Thank you for the opportunity. Welcome. And this is a follow-up on choosing a name from the previous presentation, which was about NACO. And question was who is doing NICO? But NICO starts, authority control starts with a BIP record. In RDA, one person, one name. In IICR2, a lot of people shared a name, it was not a problem. But on a computerized catalog and database, it is not working. Therefore, if you remember, one name, one personal name, one authority record, one corporate name, one authority record. Two people cannot share a authority record and a name. If there are two or three or four people sharing a name, we need to do something. And that starts in the BIP record. When the name was established wrong, when we create an authority record, the process of is so much more complicated. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with what is a name. A name is a word or set of words by which a person or thing is known, addressed, or referred to. And you will remember from the last presentation, a person is not just a human being as we see it. It can be a animal, etc. So a word is a set of words by which a person is known, addressed, or referred to. And authority control is the process of establishing a unique form of an entity for an entity and using that form whenever the name is needed as an access point in a bibliographic record. Authority control is not a separate process. Authority control is part of bibliographic cataloging. And this is where in South Africa, we're missing the bus. It is history, probably, but authority control and bibliographic control are linked. Authority control started with the bibliographic record. Why do we need to do authority control? It brings all the works of a specific author together under one form. If the author is using more than one name. So the person is using two or three different names, and the authority record brings it all together. And this is an example. Jones Jonathan, if you look at the 400 fields, he is also using Jonathan Charles Rowlands, Jonathan CR. If there is no authority control, the user must search under all the variant forms of the name. Somebody must do authority control. If we as professional catalogers, professional people, trained people, do not do authority control, the user must do it. The user must think about or know the different forms the author is using and know to search under all the forms to get all the information, all the books created or written by the person. Secondly, why do we need to do authority control? We need to differentiate between authors with the same name. As I said, one person, one name. Two people cannot share a name if more than one, there are different people using the same name. We need to uniquely distinguish between the two persons. If you look at Kim Kardashian and Kimberly Kardashian. This is an example of authority control that are not done or not properly done. Therefore, the user must search under Kim and under Kimberly. And there's a Kimberly, there's two different spellings of the name, which is correct. Kimberly L-E-Y or just L-Y. The same with Courtney, I don't know. Chloe, there's also more different forms. So in this instance, the user is going to have to search under, let's say they are looking for Kimberly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They will have to do 6 searches, probably 7 with the top one just K. This is an example of authority control not properly done. The user will have to do multiple searches to find all the works of Kimberly Kardashian. Now, the topic this morning is choosing. How do we choose a name? And there are different steps. We start, and we will look at the steps separately. We start with usage. Then the preferred name. Do we need to add something to the name? And we end with the authorized access point. The authorized access point is what we're going to use in the bibliographic record. And I'm going to do it with an example. Paul Simon is a cook making nice cakes and puddings. I received the book on my desk. I need to catalog and create an authorized access form for Paul Simon. The first thing is we need to search. Is there an authorized access point already? And when searching, I found there are several different Paul Simons. Once again, one person, one name. So I immediately know there's several other Pauls. I will need something to uniquely identify the name. I've searched in all the BIP records in the BIP file, and I found that Paul Simon, the cook, the person making the nice cakes, only use Paul Simon. And so that's a relatively easy one to do. I establish after the usage is Paul. So the person's preferred name is Paul Simon. And we invert it, so it is Simon, comma, Paul. But the second part, the name is not unique. Therefore, we need to add something to the name. What do we add to? We need to search for works to determine the usage. We need to search works written by the author. How does the names how are the names presented on the title page of the book or on the title screen of the DVD? We need to look for formal statements in associated resources. Books about the person. How is the name the same as it is on the written books, the DVDs? Or any other sources. Sometimes it is necessary to search reference sources to break conflict or to find information that we can uniquely identify the person. Choosing the preferred name of the author. The preferred name, as I said, is the name or form of the name chosen as the basis for the authorized access point. That is the name that the user uses or is known by. That is the name as it appears in the resources associated with the person. And that if it is one name, if there is only one preferred name, that is make it easier. But what do we do if an author is using more than one name on his resources? And there is a list. If there is no prominent name, choose the latest form of the book. If the book was published in 2023, the previous editions or other books was earlier, choose the latest, the form in the newest book, the latest form of the name. If you are unsure about the latest name, use the fuller or fullest form. Now, what is the difference between a fuller or fullest form? Sharon Stone and Sharon L. Sharon L is a fuller form than Sharon. Ed and Edward. Edward is a fuller form. Let's say it is Easter Ed with a date, 1981, the date he was born. The date is also a fuller form of the name. So there is a list how to choose if there is not a predominant form of the name. But we are still busy with Paul, the baker, and I've searched in the authorized act in the authority file, and I find that Paul 1976 is the guy, the baker. And yes, if there is a name like this, you need to go into all the authority records and see there is really no authority file. You need to go to the BIB file and make sure the names that are there is not the same or it is the same. Especially with I found with ebooks. A lot of the ebook vendors, the names in the authority in the BIB records are not correct. And if we do not check them against the authority file or against the record for the book itself, we're creating two different forms of the name for actually the same resource. One is the e format and the other one is a print format. That is why authority control is important. Authority control started with the decision what is the correct name to use. We've decided with Paul Simon, the usage is always using just Paul Simon. So that is the preferred name. But I've searched in the databases that we at my institution is using, and I find an addition to uniquely identify the fondant cake maker as born in 1976. And therefore the authorized form for his name is Simon Paul 1976. And this is the process that we need to use for all personal corporate names. Usage, Paul Simon. The preferred name is Paul Simon. There is no other variant form, or he doesn't use any other names. Date of birth, right? And then the authorized access point. It sounds a long process, seeing it on a slide, but we do it actually within seconds, within minutes, when we are cataloging. And if authority control is done correctly, there are 3 different Paul Simons with their authorized access points. 1941, the musician. There's another Simon Paul, which is a social worker, and then our Simon Paul with the date. The user can see there are 3 different persons. If he knows or if he is looking for the person that is a social worker, he can immediately go to the associate the Simon Paul, which is the professor of social work. If the musicians will music catalogers or the music users will probably know Simon Paul is born in 1941. So the 3 people are uniquely identified. And that is the purpose of authority control. We haven't created an authority record, but we have 3 distinct preferred names, authorized access points for the user to search what they are looking for. There's a whole list. If you look at the on the right-hand side of the screen, Simon Paul, there's 2,626. If there is no proper authority control, the user need to search all those 2,600 records to find what they are looking for if we do not do authority control. That is if the author is using only one name. But what it can happen, it'll happen often. What do we do if the author is using more than one name? Hammond, you can see it is it seems to be the same person. Catherine, 12 records with Catherine. Catherine S, only 5 records, and Catherine Stephanie, 2 records. What is the RDI guideline if there is more than one name? Actually, the most prominent name. The person used Catherine 12 times. So that is the name that you're going to choose. It is the most prominently named. If you do not create a authority record, that is where your work stops. Or you can change the two, Catherine S and Catherine Stephanie. You can change that to Catherine, but that is where you do double work. If there is if you create an authority record, the second 2, the 5 and the 2, that forms of the name will be in the authority record as variant access points. So if a user search under Catherine S, the system will automatically take them to the authorized form. Otherwise, if there is no authority record, the user must know they must search under Catherine S and the last one, Catherine Stephanie, as well. That is the process of authority creating an authorized access point. You determine the usage. You establish the preferred name, and do you need to add an addition, and at the end you have an authorized access point. For Simon, I used a date to uniquely identify a person. But what can we add to a preferred name to create an authorized access point? And here is the list that you can use. And this is the table in priority order. So you will always search for a title or other designation. For example, if it is a king, we're not going to use that often, but you will use the title or any other designation. We will look at examples later. Date of birth and or death. If you do not know the date of birth, you can use the date of death. You can add a fuller form of the name, a period of activity, the profession or occupation of the person, other term or rank or honor of office. You can add other designations. We are still busy with the additions and still in the priority order. And this is the example of a designation, a pope, comte, date of birth. The person was born in 1931 and died in 1997, born in 1966 and died in 2001. The fuller form of the name, Malan E, Esther, and Elias. Names are clearly authorized and clearly distinctive. The period of activity, 1982-1999, is very useful for actors or the authors, singers, the person, all the films was made between 1982 and 1999. The profession or occupation, Simon Hobbs is a poet, a soccer player. Big Toe is a musician. Can also use other term or rank of profession, rank of or office. This the Fries guy is a captain. There's a manager. There's a reverend. The occupation and other terms of rank and office is a little bit, it sounds the same, but it doesn't matter as you can use it. We're not going to ask you what is the RDA guideline that you use, as long as it is within the guidelines to uniquely identify the person. And then the last one, other designation, and it is vague, very vague, and intentionally so. Anything goes as long as you have a unique name. It is a defendant in a court case. It is a wife of a certain person. It is a dog lover. It is two people. It's probably a family. One is in Bloemfontein, the other one is in Centurion. And how sad is a person's life if the only thing they can find to qualify her name is shoplifter? But anything that you can use to uniquely identify the person. Short and sweet today. Authority work brings all the works of a specific author together under one form. And all authority work differentiates between authors with the same name. And what is the result? It saves time for library users and staff, and time is money, so we save money. That is how we can uniquely identify a person. Any questions?
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you very much, Dr. Hester, for guiding us on how to choose a name. My name is Meshia Mariana. I'll be moderating the Q&A, and then I would like to request you to ask Dr. Hester questions. You can either raise your visual hand or type your question in the chat function. The floor is open. Let's engage with Dr. Hester. I don't see any questions so far. Okay, I see a question from Marika. The question says, what if two authors create a single name as the author name for another series of books?
That is today was an introduction to personal names. That is a totally different situation. Two people together using their names together can either be a corporate name or they are known together as under one name. So yes, that is a total set of RDA guidelines on its own.
Okay, I hope you are answered, Marika. Okay, I see that they're saying okay. It means that they are answered. Any questions, colleagues? Let's engage. No questions. Any comments for Dr. Hester? Oh, I see a hand from Krainold. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, yes. I just have a question about whether you think in future, then with the other name authority files that we are using in linked data like VIAF and ORCID, do you think the NACO policies for making separate identifiable authors will fall away and we'll just follow their list because everybody's going to have a URI after their name which will identify them? This is just theoretical.
Yes, for example, the ORCID numbers. The ORCID numbers, the researchers are requesting that. And the NACO authority file is the authority file of the Library of Congress and of OCLC. the OCLC data authority file is a copy of the Library of Congress's authority file. It, it doesn't it doesn't really matter which name you are using, whether you use the ORCID name, the FIAF name, or the NICO form in OCLC, as long as there is a reference, a variant form of the name, the user is going to find what they're looking for. And we can add the various numbers now into the OCLC NICO authority records. So yes, there will probably be better cooperation. A lot of outside of libraries, firms, etc., ORCID, for example, FIAF, is using the NICO authority file as a starting point. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thanks. That's good to know, because I think they should use us as a starting point. There's so much work that went into it.
Exactly. And they know the authority records is authorized. You can go into an authority record and you can see the history of the record. Where did it started? And you can go back and you can check it. So the authority file is trustworthy. And they said the only difference between a library catalog or a library and the internet is the authority control, because what we put into an authority file is authorized. You can go and check it.
Okay, thank you, Craynold. There's a question here from Musundusi Library. They want to know what are the procedures that they can follow in order to become a NACO member.
Okay. The first step is all the info, or let me put it this way. All the information about NICO is on the Library of Congress's webpage. Just go to Library of Congress and NICO or PCC. You will find the information there, the steps that you need to do. What you need to remember is, unfortunately, there is no individual membership. The library must become a NICO participant. There are certain prerequisites. Your library need to sign a form to say that they will use and follow the procedures of the Library of Congress. You do it in any case, so that's nothing new. That you're not, if you using OCLC and RDI, that's the basics. You must be already creating bibliographic records on OCLC. That is also just a practical point. NICO is the 5-day training is so intensive, they cannot, there's no time to teach the usage of OCLC. So if you create bibliographic records on OCLC, nothing stops you to become a NICO participant and create authority records as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hester. Another question. They want to know if the picture can help in choosing the correct name, like the example that you used of Paul Simon.
No, that was somewhat there for to so that it looks nicer. One of the elements that we add in an authority record was gender, and for that the picture obviously helped. But there was a lot of controversy about adding a person's gender in an authority record that they stopped that. So yeah, no, that was just there to break the script to make it look nice.
Okay. Another one, how does one go about convincing non-cataloging folk, e.g. managers, with regard to the possible labor intensity this specialized skill requires? For example, if desktop research does not provide sufficient information, has a cataloger or authority control librarian ever had to make direct contact with an author or publisher to establish a preferred name? They continue to say that they find that due to little knowledge of the process involved in collocation and authority control, there is an assumption that this task is just some minor data capturing.
Yes, that is a problem. But the starting point is the book in hand. And in most of the authority records, that is sufficient to uniquely identify a person. If not, if you search on OCLC, you are already working on OCLC, often you find more information like a date. The instances where you need to phone an author to find information about him or her is less than a percentage of the authority work that we do. It is a misconception that creating the authority record is expensive. The biggest part of authority control, as I said in the beginning, starts with determining the author, the preferred form of the author's name. That's the important thing. If you've got a preferred name and the name is unique, you do not have to do any research. It is only if the preferred name is already used by another person, you need to find something to make the name unique. And there's a whole list. You do not have to search a whole day on the internet to find dates. You look in the book. If there's no dates, the last category of what you can add is an educator, is a professor of something. It is really not an excuse that it is time consuming not to do authority control. Authority control starts in the bibliographic record. And even if you do just that the name in the authority in the bib record is unique, that there's only one person with this name, you don't know, or two person, you can add something to uniquely identify the name. You make a difference. But if you use, like, for example, Simon's Paul, there's 2,000 and something, then you just make the problem so much bigger. Start with the book in hand. If the person's name is unique, you do not have to do research.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hester. There are just comments from Mohadi saying that thank you for the wonderful presentation. and Genevieve saying thank you. Any more questions? We have 2 minutes. We can ask Dr. Hester. Okay, Dimakatso, you can unmute yourself.
Marcia, I was just clapping hands, acknowledging the presentation and all that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
But anyway, the presentation was very good, very clear. And I even like the picture that she used earlier when they were commenting about it. For me, it gave a clear explanation of what she was trying to explain in a case where the names are the same, but you can see it's different people. But I'm also like it's very interesting, and I would like also to encourage our colleagues to really consider doing authorities, and to also, if they need help from those who have already done the program and they're independent now, they can always ask. It's better to have a reference, to have somebody who can guide you into the process than doing it alone, and when you get stuck you don't even know what to do. But if you have a partner or a colleague who you can share and discuss things that are not clear, it's even much better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dimakatso, for your encouraging words. I think we have come to the end of our Q&A. Thank you very much, Dr. Hester. And then I'll now hand over to Ingrid.
Good morning, colleagues. It is my privilege to give the thanks, and we thank Dr. Marais for always being willing to assist us with any presentations and questions that we might have. Thank you for the very insightful presentation and the good discussion that we've had now with the lots of questions, and it's really enjoyed the presentation. Colleagues, we like to take a photo at the end of our presentation. So if you'd like to turn on your cameras, that we can take a photo, please go ahead and turn on your cameras. Apalele, if you can assist us with taking a screenshot, we'd appreciate that.
No problem.
Everyone smile for the camera.
One. Yeah, I think I took enough.
Okay, thank you. Okay, colleagues, we just once again thank you, Dr. Marais, very much for your presentation. And we thank the colleagues for for attending the presentation. And we really are glad about the numbers that have joined us today. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And that's the end of our webinar. Thank you so much.